Did you know for exactly $0 a day, you too can support a YouTuber? If you wouldn't mind, go down and subscribe. Vader and I would greatly appreciate it. One of the most important things of spring hiking is knowing the conditions of where you'll be hiking and making sure you bring the right gear for it. Howdy y'all, welcome back to Camcheck Productions. Today, I thought I'd share with you some of my tips for spring day hiking and some ways to make it more fun and easier for you. So, the first and most important thing when you're going to do some springtime hiking is to choose your hike wisely. If you are prepared for snow and things like this, go for it. If you're not, pick a lower elevation hike and make sure that you know exactly where you're going. So choose wisely. If you don't have to worry about snow, maybe you have to worry about a mud bog of some sort, or maybe you have to worry about rivers being really big. There's all kinds of elements that we have to take into account because springtime is different than any other time of the year. There's so much happening, there's so much changing, and it's happening so fast. You really have to be smart about where you're going. So choose your hike wisely. Ooh. Sinking deep. Look at that. All right, y'all, so one of the most important things in a spring situation is knowing the conditions before you get out in it. It's really important that you have a weather forecast, that you know what the weather is going to be that day, but also what did the weather do the night before? Did the cycle freeze? Is there going to be a big runoff? You need to really pay attention to what's going on around you and make sure that you're prepared for all the different kinds of conditions that you could end up with out here. So make sure you check the weather. Also, on a day like this, you really need to make sure you have some sort of navigation app or something like that. As you can see, there are no trails right now. In this time of the year, you can be coming across something that you would think is a well-marked trail, but due to runoff, due to debris, due to an avalanche, due to snow, that could be blocked. So it's really important for you to know which way you're going and really pay attention to how you're gonna get around in this kind of stuff, because these conditions are really dangerous. If you're hiking in the snow, and as you saw, I just fell there, you can really hurt yourself. So you just have to take your time, go slow, and be aware of tree wells. They're super duper dangerous. Avoid them at all costs. All right, guys, so this is normally a trail. You can see the trail comes up, and it normally allows you to go this way, but in the spring, you never know what you're gonna get, so this trail is full of water. So, one of the other things that I have to remind you about is always tell somebody where you're going. It is super duper important, so that way you don't have to cut off your own arm. Just let somebody know where you're gonna be, when you're gonna be back, and make sure you go prepared. So, let's talk about the gear in my backpack, but to do that, I wanna actually do this in my office so that you can hear me and I can give you a full rundown of all the gear that I actually carry with me. All right, y'all, welcome to the office. I hope this is a little bit better. I wanted to make sure, because I know this is something that's really important to a lot of people, that I was in a space where I could show you everything and you'd actually be able to hear me. So let's go over the gear that I bring with me spring hiking. And in total honesty, the majority of this gear I actually have in my backpack all the time. I'm a big believer in I would rather be safe than sorry. And if you have one, you have none. So you need two, make sure you're backed up. Just my personal philosophy. So the very first thing you got to start with is a backpack of some sort. Something that you can carry with you, something that has access. It doesn't have to be fancy, but you definitely want to have something that you can put extra gear in. On my backpack, I have my Yaktrax just in case, because we're living in a place where there's snow and ice. I could definitely need those. So I keep that all on there. And I also have my bright bandana just as a marker. Again, I'm not trying to stealth or anything like that. I just want to make sure I have what I need. I also always make sure that I carry my Zoleo. This is my emergency GPS device. That way, if I get in trouble, I can hit this button and I know I'm going to get some help. So this thing goes with me everywhere, depending on which backpack I'm using. Something else that goes with me every time I go someplace is my first aid kit. I travel with a pretty serious first aid kit. I am not a big believer in one of those little mini first aid kits. I believe in having the full kit, but that's a different video that I'm going to be making soon, why I use this over a little teeny tiny one. So I always have that. You can see right here, I have my emergency poncho. Again, I'm sorry, my emergency bivy. This just lives inside of my backpack. It's there all of the time. One of the things that I do carry for spring hikes is you need to make sure that you have lots of different clothing layers. So inside of this is my puffy jacket. I keep this in here. I don't always have this in my bag, but it's really easy to be able to pull it in, pull it out. So I just keep my puffy coat in here. On most of my spring hiking trips, I'm also going to take some sort of mid layer. This is just a Patagonia mid layer that you can use. And I also usually have some sort of light jacket, something that will work really easy that I can just pull on and off. I really like that. I also, and this is pretty much in my backpack all the time, I bring a full rain Gore-Tex jacket here. This is my REI Gore-Tex rain jacket. I keep this thing with me pretty much all the time because it works as a great wind block. It's something that I can use as a pillow if I get stuck someplace. There's all kinds of uses for this, and I like having the Gore-Tex. So I pretty much always have this in my backpack, and I'm putting stuff that I pretty much always have in my backpack right on top of my bag here. So one of the other things that I'm planning on exploring and I'm thinking about using more and more is an umbrella. So our rain jackets work great, but I still get wet inside. It's a science, it's a whole different thing. Again, something we're going to talk about. So I believe I'm going to start to carry an umbrella with me more often. Also, it really helps with camera gear if you have it. This is just some 5150 cord, some paracord that I have in case I need to tie off anything, build a splint. Who knows what this could be, but this is probably about 100 feet and I just keep it braided. This is always in my backpack. One of the other things that I highly recommend that you just keep in your backpack constantly is this is my emergency food supply. This is my 24-hour food supply kit, and I always just keep this in my backpack. I have granola bars in here. I have some tea just because it's a nice thing to have. I have oatmeal. I have Lipton soup. I have things that you could just add water to, let it sit, and it would hydrate up. And those of you who are saying, well, what are you going to put the water in? I can take this stuff out of the bag and I can rehydrate it in this bag here if I needed to. And is it going to taste awesome? No, but I would say that this is enough food to at least get me through probably 24 to 48 hours. So for those of you that are like, well, you don't have a bowl or cup, this thing I pretty much always keep in my backpack as well because it works really nicely as a bowl, a scoop, anything you need, and it's pretty much weightless. So another thing that I always have in my backpack is a lighter. I always just keep a lighter in the top pocket of my backpack because you never know, and I figure, why not, right? I have multiple different fire starter pieces, but that's something I always keep in there. This is my survival / everything super heavy bag that goes in every backpack that I take. I could possibly be completely able to survive with everything that's inside of this. I have goo, I have a life straw, I have my compass, I have waterproof matches, I have a lighter, I have fire starters. I have pretty much everything in here I would need in case I got into a major emergency, including pain medications, all that stuff. And it is ridiculously heavy for how small it is, but I again feel like it's worth just having. I'd rather have it and never ever need it than not have it and need it and be like, oh, I wish I put that in. So this thing, always in my backpack. One of the other things that I always carry with me when I'm hiking anymore, just because I'm getting old, and if you watch my video on hiking tips for 45 or older, trekking pole. If you don't have a trekking pole, definitely get one. It is well worth it and something you definitely need. I have a multitude of different hats that I take in the springtime. Depending on what place I'm going to be in, if I'm going to be in the desert, I have a hat this hat is great as a sun hat because it covers the back. There's a little face piece that you can put over, and it's a great sun protector. I also have a beanie that I usually carry, but I was wearing it yesterday afternoon while I was hiking. So lots of different ways. I was in the desert and I did not have a large brim hat. All I had was a beanie and a baseball cap. And we spent 4 days out in the middle of Escalante in January, February, early February. And I got fried because I did not have a full rimmed hat. So pretty much just throw this thing in my bag anymore and just leave it there. So that way I always have that. The other thing that I carry during the springtime is this is my tent footprint. So essentially a tarp. I always make sure that I have something that I can set down, sit on, wrap around, build a shelter. And again, it's super light. It weighs less than my Gatorade bottle right here by a long shot. So I figure, why not throw it in there? I don't have this in my bag all the time, but in the springtime, it's especially helpful. If you want to sit down and have lunch or something, it's going to be muddy, it's going to be gross. So it's nice to be able to throw this out. All right, headband. Highly recommend it. If you sweat at all, get a headband. It helps, stops everything from dripping into your eyes. I really believe in that. Water. Lots of different types of water bottles. You can carry an Nalgene. You can carry a Smart Water, a Life Water. If you want to use a reservoir, I switch back and forth between water bottles and reservoirs. And I always try to carry a little something extra, like a Gatorade, something that I can replace my electrolytes with, something that I can basically pump myself up for. So with everything that I have here, between my Gatorade, between the food that I have, between my bivy, my tarp, all of my warm clothing, if I were to get stuck someplace in a snowstorm, I would definitely have 24 hours of gear to be able to survive to get to the next day. I wouldn't want to go much past that, but again, it's springtime. We never know what we're going to end up with. So I believe in just going in super duper prepared and carrying a little bit more weight on my back just so that I have the stuff that I need and makes me feel comfortable. So what do you think? Is this what you should have? If not, if you think I should have different gear or something that you would recommend, leave a comment for us. All right, let's get back into some more hiking tips. So now that you picked your hike, you've told somebody where you're going, because that's super important that you let somebody know where you're going to be. Next thing is to make sure you understand all of the risks of spring hiking. You need to make sure you are safe. You are looking for runoff. If you're in the high mountains, you're prepared for avalanches. If you're in the desert, you're ready for extreme high temperatures to low temperatures. It's really important to know what the obstacles are. Right now, here in Utah, we have a ton of runoff and our rivers are rolling super fast. So it's really dangerous to be anywhere near a river right now. So just remember, be safe, know what you're getting into. So again, to kind of go over what we talked about, make sure you know where you're going to be hiking. Make sure you have the correct gear. Make sure you have the 24-hour survival kit, so if something does happen, you're prepared for it. And really, just make sure somebody knows where you're going to be. Have fun out there, but do it safely, do it smartly, and make sure that you're just always protecting yourself and you know what you're getting into before you get out there. Otherwise, things can go bad real fast. All right, my friends. So thank you, first of all, for sticking with me all the way through this video. I hope these tips helped. I hope they gave you some good perspective on things to be prepared for when you're hiking in the spring. It really is a different animal. You never know what you're gonna get, so you just have to go in prepared. Again, I really appreciate you sticking around until this point. Please go down, hit the like button, share this video with your friends if you think they'll help them. And if you're feeling super generous, please go down and subscribe. I'm almost to 1,000 subscribers. I'm 100 away and I really wanna get there. So I would really appreciate it. All right, I'll see you in the next video. Be well, my friends. Oh, see that?